My liege, Edward Duke of York has won the Battle of St. Albans. He has come for one final challenge of the throne.
If it's a duel he wants, a duel he shall have. Bring me the artifacts. Nope. Nah. Ah. Perfect. Edward, face me in honorable combat. Come on then, have at the... Ow. How do you do, everyone? Today we're going to be reviewing a Yu-Gi-Oh game that completely bastardized the rules and then didn't tell you what those rules were. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses, released worldwide in 2003 for the PlayStation 2 and the unofficial sequel to Forbidden Memories, a game so infamous for its chaotic designs, including, but not limited to, your starting deck being completely randomly generated, having to learn chemistry and astrology to decipher whatever this is, and the most insane difficulty spikes in any game ever. Surely, after 2 years of design innovation, we wouldn't have this problem again, right? I'll get to that in a bit. After booting up Duelist of the Roses, or if it's often abbreviated to, Dota, the game tries to educate you on English history, and it actually does a good job at teaching you something. Unlike myself, shall we begin? Our story starts in 1300s England. To summarise, there's been a lot of political complications and debates if England should be at war with France. Eventually, King of England, Edward III, couldn't be f***ed with this shit no more, and decided to die of a stroke. The two royal parties, the Red Rose House of Lancaster and the White Rose House of York, both have a valid claim to the throne. But they don't like each other, so they settled their differences the only way royal-blooded cousins would. They started a war, and then had 4 more wars. Needless to say, the House of York stomped 4 out of 5 of the wars, until Henry Tudor killed King Richard III, marking the end of the War of the Roses and the beginning of the Tudor dynasty, where Henry's son, Henry, spent his days becoming a serial monogamist, marrying 6 women, acted like a Karen to the church so he could divorce and behead his wives, and then he got a lumpy leg and died. But I digress. While Yu-Gi-Oh has a lot of formats, Dota optimistically calls itself Master Rule Perfect. It's very similar to the TCG. You have 5 monsters, 5 spells in your field, battle is determined by whose number is bigger, you have attack, defense, and you win by making this number go to 0. Here's what's different. Your deck is built around a deck leader. Your deck leader plays cards and moves around. Each turn, you draw cards until you have 5 in hand, you gain 3 stars, and you spend stars to play 1 monster per turn. When you play your cards, you can play them in either face-up attack position, face-up defense position, face-down defense position, or face-down attack. Finally, Yu-Gi-Oh gameplay that supports face-down attack position. Cards can either move and attack, or defend and stay still. Spell and traps can be played face down and moved around. Spell and trap cards can't attack, but they can be attacked and immediately die. Every map is full of tiles to play around that give certain effects depending on the tile. Normal tiles give no advantage or disadvantage. Meadow, forest, wasteland, mountain, sea, and dark all give 500 attack and defense and a movement bonus to certain monsters, and negatively impacts the opposite. Toons give minus 500 to everyone. Labyrinth is completely impassable, except for Shadow Ghoul that transforms into Wall Shadow and can move through walls. And Crush destroys all your best cards. A cool little detail though, the battle animation's backdrop changes based on what tile you're standing on. These tiles are mostly fine, and then there's the sensory nightmare that is the Toon tile. After a fight, if the 2 monsters had an opposite type or attribute, the surviving monster gets Spellbound. Spellbound is a condition where your monster can't move or attack for a certain amount of turns. Some of them make sense, the rest don't. There's also several flavours of win conditions. The original, beat up your opponent until he dies. The spicy, summon all of Exodia's severed limbs and watch as they float there for a bit. The One Bad Day special, where you stall until the game timer goes to 0, or the new and improved, Go for a Checkmate. A Deckmaster can't summon monsters or move into a zone that you occupy, so if you're able to occupy all its available zones, you win the game. Everything I've just spoke about is covered in a 30-minute tutorial. Now onto the stuff the game didn't tell you. Fusions. As per its predecessor, you can fuse your shit-eating monsters into either game-changing titans or slightly less shit-eating monsters. You do this by combining them in your hand or by moving 2 monsters on your field onto the same tile. The game doesn't tell you can do this, and doesn't tell you any fusion recipes. You just have to work it out for yourself. Good luck. Promotions. Allegedly, cards can get promoted and unlock new effects. I never had a card promoted, I have no idea why or how it happens, and neither does the wiki. I have nothing more to say on the matter, so let's begin our adventure. You, the player, gets isekai'd into Yu-Gi-Oh! England after you died in a terrible early 2000s accident. You learn from Simon that you've been drafted into the War of the Roses. Simon will spew exposition, ask for your name, and make you pick a deck. There are 17 initial decks in the game, 16 are bad, but Patrician of Darkness is by far the best deck in the entire game, and Dota is borderline unplayable without it, unless you use cheat codes. While there are a lot of decks in the game, it will pick out 3 for you to choose from based on whatever you called yourself at the start. I found a tester online to see what names give you what decks, and I tried every combination of Tomothy, but I kept getting Dogwater. So I experimented with other people's names, and my findings are quite interesting. See, there seems to be a negative correlation between the moral standing of the name and the quality of the deck. Meaning, if I call myself Gandhi, Jesus, or Martin Luther King, we roll bad, but I'm guaranteed to get a patrician deck if I call myself Christian, Mega Hitler, or Pirate Software. Now, I tried about 50 names, and these were the only 3 that generated a patrician deck. And between the 3 choices, one takes issue with my entire being,
stupid pickle-suited nigger.
And I could never, ever associate myself with a Blizzard Nepo baby. Welcome to England, Mega Hit. We're introduced to Seto, the Duke of York. Seto rocks up and asks Simon, "Did you seriously use magic trading cards to summon a champion from the future, get him to fight in this war against his will, and potentially distort history, the fabric of reality, and space-time as we understand it? That's kind of fucked up, bro." You're given a choice of what side of the war you wish to fight. Will you side with your mystical captor, who drafted you into war, or the guy who's clearly crushing it, offered you a way back home, and definitely isn't Griffith? If you side with Simon, the game tricks you into thinking you're with the hero side of the story. Problem is, the very next graphic shows a boat travelling to France, and I put it to you, no hero would ever be French. And if you disagree, you're crazy, take your medicine. Who you pick drastically changes your experience with the game. If you pick the Lancasters, you'll have a good time, play the game as is intended to be played. Provided you have your frontal lobe intact, there's no real struggle down this path. Unlike the Yorkists. If you pick the Yorkists, it's sink or swim. For this playthrough, I sided with the Yorkists. Turns out, Mega Hitler might have been on the wrong side of history. Our first duel is against the iconic character, T, who plays a fairy deck. It's not hard if you Zerg rush her, and she's not particularly strong. Then we go to London against T. Tristan Grey. Easy dub, no diff. Then, My Valentine, or as I call her, The Filter. Mai has a Harpy Lady deck. The entire board is mountain tiles. Mountains give buffs to wing beasts and dragons, so that's every card in her deck. Unfortunately for me, mountains weaken zombies. And a Patrician of Darkness is a zombie deck. Most of her monsters reach near 3k attack, and at any given time there's a 2k difference between our stats. With this being the third duel of the game, our deck doesn't really have any good cards in it that could put up against this threat. And there's no shop in order to buy new ones in. I'm not ashamed to say this, but I lost a fair number of times here. So, with a weakened deck of vanilla monsters, you're presented with a choice. You can quit the game, or you can use cheat codes. But for me, I choose option 3, the cheese pill. Patrician of Darkness deck, confused into the best card in the game. So what is it? Blue Eyes, Dark Magician, 5-headed dragon? No. I'm of course referring to Pumpkin, King of Ghosts. You make Pumpkin by combining a zombie with 1200 attack or more with a plant type. Good thing your deck has 2 plant monsters. At the start of each turn, if Pumpkin is face-up defense position, all monsters get a permanent plus 100 attack and defense, including Pumpkin. Now, let me explain the strategy that I call the Goon Cave. Step 1, find a corner to tuck yourself away into. Step 2, make Pumpkin. If you don't have the materials, just fuse random nonsense in your hand until you get rid of every unnecessary card. Because at the start of your turn, you draw until you have 5 cards in hand. so just keep fusing bullshit until you get the cards that you need. Step 3. Make another pumpkin and completely box yourself into a corner. Step 4. Summon Great Mammoth of Goldfine, the highest attack monster in your deck. It may look mid, but it's our ticket to victory. If you don't draw into it, you can fuse Mammoth Graveyard with any zombie monster. Step 4.5. Make another Goldfine. Step 5. Just wait. Pass turn, over and over again. Your monsters will get larger, stronger, harder, grow, engorge, become unyielding. This is the way of the Goon Cave. Now, you may think while all this is happening, your opponent might do something about it. No, they won't. I'm not sure what happens, but the AI doesn't know what to do when it sees a massive pumpkin. Once pumpkin reaches a certain size, the NPC will also hermit up and just wait for its inevitable end. It won't even play new cards. Step 6. Maneuver the Mammoths. If you have it, you can also use the spell Yami to create the in-game equivalent of the Eclipse from Berserk, and give all your zombies bonus movement. Congratulations, we just solved the game. Granted, this takes a while, but it is the most reliable to end any duel. After beating Mai, we then find ourselves onto Mako, who drops the hardest beat in the entire game. And then we never hear it again. He then decides to duel us. The aim of the game was to Goon Cave, except Mako played a gross looking cat that TP'd to my leader and a fat zombie, and thus he secured his own end. Good effort, Mako. The Joey duel is just Tristan, but rotated 90 degrees and with a slightly different coat of paint on it. Not much to mention here, you won't struggle at all. Next up, Grandpa, who tried to beat me at my own game, with an Exodia deck and a Goon Cave built into the f***ing map. See, the concept of this level is you're on a timer. You have to rush to beat Exodia before he wins with the 5 pieces. His cave is surrounded by impassable tiles unless you have a Shadow Ghoul in your deck. We had a Shadow Ghoul in our opening hand. If Exodia built a Goon Cave, then I did the equivalent of asking to see his ID to access his Goon material. All you have to do is kill a piece of Exodia, and he's completely defenseless. Except for the several burn cards he have in his deck. My advice, do an anti-goon, and finish fast. Next up, Shandy, who also goons. He hermits into a corner shielded by crush tiles. However, if he retreats into the wasteland tiles, move your leader into that section of the board, build any large monster, and get all up in his face. Bakura makes you nerf your own deck to proceed, and the floor is also covered in crush tiles. So the Goon Cave strat is a no-go, and to be honest, this duel was down to the wire. But if you're not afraid to zerg into small monsters, you'll be fine. When you get to Yugi, you realise his field is completely schizo. His deck is filled with large monsters like Dark Magician, but that won't stop the goon. Then, the final duel. After collecting all the cards, you can finally invoke this ancient power and summon Manawamadam Fabu Ulala, and it turns out he's the brother of the antagonist from Forbidden Memories. He hasn't gotten over it yet, and he's understandably pissed off that some Brits summoned him from the void and then asked him if he's got any ciggies. He tries to kill us with another duel, and this one took a few tries. First duel, he summoned Zoa turn 1 and ended me by turn 4. Second duel, he summoned a 3500 attack Black Comet Dragon, tore down the walls of my Goon Cave, and ended me. Well, you know what they say, third time's the charm. Except this time I created a bunch of crush tiles, soft-locked myself into a corner, and then was forced to surrender. This is beginning to feel like the final filter. But we've come too far to forsake the goon. One more run. I have no idea what happened, but Black Comet Dragon was just stun-locked in the corner, Sungar of the Thunder didn't want anything to do with Pumpkin, and I was able to summon 3 beautiful pumpkins, and rush him down with Pumpkin number 1 and deal a healthy 7,200 points of damage. Congratulations, you just beat the game. Endgame content is you just going down the path you didn't take, and it's basically the same but much easier. Once you jump in, the game is actually very fun. It's definitely one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Board games that's ever been made, especially when compared to its successors. And what's even more impressive is that this was the first one, and that's maybe a little bit sad that there's not been one better. There's also a decent amount of polish. After each fight, you get an animated battle between the two cards. These animations can range from shit to actually really fucking cool. They can get a little long if you want to watch each one during a duel, but it's definitely cool the developers went to the effort of modelling and animating nearly 700 unique characters and creating attacks for each one. Getting new cards is fucking awful. They have to be used against you in a duel, you have to win the match, and then you have a chance at winning them from a slot machine. It does get very frustrating, but there's also good old-fashioned cheat codes. Interestingly, Konami only officially released 7 codes to unlock new cards. 2 codes at the end of the game, and 5 of them were at the end of Forbidden Memories. It wasn't until 2017 where some guy data mined them and posted them on Reddit. Watch this guy go on a wild goose chase for about 20-year-old codes. It's actually a really good video. The game's story isn't exactly deep. War is happening, win war by beating Yu-Gi-Oh characters in a duel, face off against Big Bad, and no matter what side you pick, the Yorkists lose the war. And you know what? I put it to you that this game's story is just berserk. White Armor Knight enlists your help to win wars, until White Armor Knight uses Magic Red Artifact to summon Tall Demon, and you can't convince me otherwise. Overall, the game's fun. It's not very long, I finished it in about 8 hours, and that's even including my various losses against Mai and Mama Wat Lama Shama Lama Ding Dong. But as for alternative Yu-Gi-Oh formats, this is definitely one of my favourites, and I strongly recommend you go play it. And if you don't own a PS2, I'm sure you can find your own means of playing it. If you got this far, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed and would like to see more of this kind of content, please like, comment, subscribe, share this with your friends, it really helps. And as always, good luck, have fun, see you next time.